All right, perfect. Okay. All right. So we are here. We got through some technical difficulties, but we are back. Episode number 29. I am here with my guest, Mark Connor. Mark, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. And I think the audience and myself are very excited to hear your story because I don't meet someone like you every day. And I'm going to tell you why when I read your bio here, which is very impressive. So Mark is a boxing trainer and writer who began boxing in St. Paul, Minnesota at age 10. You're a former Upper Midwest Golden Gloves lightweight champion. You've trained amateur, professional, competitive, and recreational boxers since 2003. You run a personal training service, Fighting Chance / Boxing for Life. Fighting Chance / Boxing for Life. And currently you work with boxers at Element Gym in St. Paul, Minnesota. You've written articles about boxing and Minnesota boxers since the 1990s. Which is super cool, what I'm about to tell you. It's About Time, your new book, millions of copies sold for Dad. You just published in June of this year. So
yes.
I'm sure it's fun to hear your bio read back to you, but that's a pretty impressive life career you've had. I just want to say that's very, very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it also, well, I don't want to brag or anything, but it won the book won the 2024 Irish Network Minnesota Bloomsday Award. It's a literary award they give out every year, and it's a Bloomsday it's a James Joyce celebration of the day that the novel Ulysses takes place in Dublin in 1905. But anyway, so that was a real help and a boost to me. So hopefully that can get me towards the actual sales that I would love to have. But I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I see the book right over your shoulder here, so I wanted to kind of point that out to the audience that the book right here, it's About Time, millions of copies sold for Dad. So where can people purchase this book? Yep.
Okay.
There we go.
So
got it.
the best place to go to is boxersandwritersmagazine.com/books. That's the URL address to go to, boxersandwritersmagazine.com/books. Now that's my website, and there are three options that you get. There's a publishing service called Lulu, Lulu. Then there's Amazon and Amazon Kindle. So you got three ways you can get it. And
that's amazing.
So that's for the audience.
Go ahead.
Right. If you're actually in St. Paul, Minnesota, it's in one store right now. That's an Irish gift store called Irish on Grand Avenue off of Lexington. But since we've got the massive world audience listening to us, grab it on the internet.
There you go.
boxersandwritersmagazine.com/books.
Okay, perfect. And I'm in the show notes when this goes live. I'll put a link directly to it. So if you're interested in purchasing Mark's book, you can go right through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this. There'll be a link and you can go check it out. So that's where we are now. We're at your book release. Congratulations, by the way. That's a huge accomplishment to write a book, publish a book. I'm an English major, and I just have a lot of respect for the writing process and everything that must have taken. So now we start there. So I'm going to rewind and just basically ask you about your whole life, if that's cool.
Okay.
Fair enough. So this book, there's a lot of your whole life. It seems like kind of led up to writing this book. You are a boxer, a trainer, a writer, and I kind of want to zero in on the boxing, right? So take me back to like young Mark. When did you start boxing, and how did that come into your life?
I was 10 years old. I just started 5th grade, and I actually had this desire to be an athlete right from early childhood. My brother's a year older than I am. He's really actually 13 days less than 1 year older, but he's a year older than I am. And, I kind of got into the stuff he got into. Like because I kind of looked up to him. So I wanted to be a baseball player, a hockey player, a football player, and I played those sports. We started with t-ball and played those sports. My brother was kind of into watching the professional wrestling on TV, so we watched that and we'd play, give each other body slams and stuff like that. And then but I always had the desire to do something kind of individual and I kind of wanted to be liked, and people admired the sports of the baseball stars or the hockey players or whatever. We'd see
Yep.
the games and that on TV, and so I had these kind of dreams as a kid that was I would do this thing or that thing, and then I kind of I liked movies, and I remember when Star Wars came out and everything, and I thought of wanting to be an actor or being or maybe writing something, being a director or something like that, and then and all those things that are for your own personal glory, basically, but where everyone says you're
Yeah.
great. And then I kind of thought maybe I'd want to be a rock and roll star or something like that. And then as a watching sports on TV, I started seeing in the wrestlers. There's one guy named, I remember his name was Paul Ellering. Um, and there was him and Jesse the Body Ventura in Minnesota, and they were the rivals for each other,
Yeah.
but they were bodybuilders. And I used to see the bodybuilding competitions on TV, so I kind of wanted to get that muscularity and have that kind of thing. And then I started seeing boxing on TV, and the boxing was really popular. The late '70s. This is a time when Sugar Ray Leonard, right when I first started boxing before I had my first fight, I watched Sugar Ray Leonard win the welterweight championship on TV. It was his first time he got a title, and then I wasn't that aware of the Olympics, but I saw some of the because I would have been maybe 6 years old when he won his gold medal. But then I saw films of him winning the gold medal, and they're such a successful Olympic team at that time. Boxing is becoming very popular in the United States at that time, and it was on TV every weekend. There were the USA international team would be fighting amateurs, and then you'd see a professional fight on one of the sports shows every Saturday, every Sunday. There'd be at least one professional fight, a lot of world title fights. So I really got into it, and I was really impressed with the way the boxers looked aesthetically speaking. I thought that was almost kind of like being a bodybuilder. And
Oh yeah.
then I saw my family, my dad used to, he and my mom, they used to like to go to a lot of movies. They went to movies like crazy, so they took us to movies all the time. And we went and saw the movie Rocky 2. And I remember when the movie Rocky was coming out, and my brother really wanted to see it, and I thought, man, that looks stupid. And then we saw the first one we saw was Rocky 2, and he won
Before Rocky
the
won.
championship. Right. So he won the title, and I always thought if he didn't win the title, I was so egotistical because I wanted to be a champion. I thought if he didn't win the title, and if I saw the first one where he didn't win the title and he lost, I wonder if I would have decided to box or not. But I started begging my dad to take me to a boxing gym. My mom, when I first said I wanted to go to be a boxer, my mom got real mad about it. Says, "No way, you're not allowed to do that." And I was mad that she said it because I'm thinking like, you mean you're gonna actually forbid me to do it?
I understand, Mom. I understand.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, what she literally said to me was, I said, "Why not?" She says, "Because you get your nose broken." I said, "If someone breaks my nose, I'll break his nose." And she said, "See, that's just the attitude that boxing gives you." And but I kept begging him. One time I said, "My dad, there's got to be a place around where he ended up finding a gym for me." And this guy, I actually he's named in the first poem that appears in the book. Emmett Yanez was his name. He's the founder of the Mexican American Boxing Club on the east side of St. Paul, and he started training me when I was 10 years old. And I quit football. I was my dad told me, if you can't, the night that we went to these fights that were in a parking lot in an Italian restaurant. And what happened was he took me there and he saw his friend Luigi Dana, who his sons Louis and Joe were boxing that night. Louis was 19, 20, and Joe was 18, and they took me down into the lounge of the downstairs lounge of the restaurant, which was serving as a locker room, and he introduced me to Emmett, and then he introduced me to the two kids. He's just short. I mean, like I was short because I was 10 years old. So, but he came up in adulthood. He came up to about here on me. Emmett did.
Yeah.
He was a featherweight 126-pound boxer when he fought, and he he said to me, if you really want to box badly, you can come down to the gym, but if you the first thing he asked me is, well, do I smoke? And I said, well, I was 10 years old. I thought, man, he must just think. I thought this guy got to think I'm a delinquent. Then he says, if he says, you show up on Monday at the gym at 5 o'clock or 5:30, but if you don't want to box real bad, don't waste my time. And I just thought, oh my God, this guy's mean. I don't know if I can handle this, but I'm going to try because I really want to do this. He says, come here, I want you to meet a couple of my boys. And he introduced me to Louie and Joey. They got the robes on with the hoods up, and they got the mouthpieces in, and they got the gloves on. So they shake my hands with each glove. And I started boxing at the gym, and I was talking to Lou or Joe. I think I was talking to Joe after a workout when there just a couple of us were in the gym at the time. I think Emmett had left early or something. I don't know, but I said to him, "Are you Emmett's son?" And he said, "No." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I thought that he was that he and his brother were Emmett's sons because he said, come here, I want you to meet a couple of my boys, you know." But then I realized then I learned.
That's just
then I learned
like
that I might say that about a guy I'm training now, you know. I mean, that's the way boxing trainers talk.
Full circle moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, so I started then, and the football coach. Well, I had played one football game, and the football coach at our rec center up the street from where we lived, I was mad because people weren't showing up to practice, and I was like, the way I was taught, I was scared of authority, and you have to be on time and stuff like that, and you have to show up, and the bunch of guys weren't showing up to practice. He said if somebody wasn't at practice, the coach says, next guy doesn't show up to practice is off the team. And that Friday night that my dad had taken me to the boxing matches where I met Emmett, he had said to me, okay, are you ready to go to the boxing event? And I says, well, I got to go to football practice first. And he says, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take you for the boxing, or we're not going to do it. You got either football or that. And I said to myself, wow, I'm going to get kicked off the team. Okay, so let's go. And we just went, and I knew it wasn't. And I don't know, the coach probably would have let me come back, but you know.
You know what? I think looking back, it's a pivotal point in your life where you're like, this is when that.
Yeah, 100%. It completely changed my life. There was a direction I was going to go. And what happened was, you know how kids will get out of school and before they do homework, they want to go out and ride. Kids want to go and ride the bikes, or
every day
they want to throw the football around, or you just hang up. My way of playing after school was I went to the boxing gym and I just went through the workout, and I'm hitting the heavy bag. The whole time I'm hitting the heavy bag, I'm imagining myself fighting the whole time. It's kind of, that's something that I think boxing has in common with creative works, with be it creative writing or something like that. Because you have to use your imagination to visualize the scenario you're in when you're learning the process before you actually get in the ring. Yeah.
That is, I'm so glad you brought that up, because visualization, I mean, tell me how, so in your boxing career, you've obviously, that's where it started, right? Your training, all that. Take me through and then I want to get into all the visualizing and like how, when you prepped for fights, but take me through your journey of, okay, so you're getting into it, you're working out. And then when did you really start to realize, okay, this is like a career for me. This is a thing.
Oh, the day I went down there, I wanted to fight professionally.
You did.
My whole dream was I was going to be champion of the world. The reason I didn't have, there are a couple of reasons I didn't have a professional career. I mean, I did have injuries. I always had Achilles tendon problems that bothered me since I was a kid. Um,
Oh.
then and I had some right. So those, I mean, you can make those as excuses. I also had I had this. This is a problem that I have with myself, and it's one of the reasons I'd say it took me this long before I actually published a book, because I've been writing all this time and seriously writing since I was 16. And
Mm.
the thing is that I really, it's an egotistical thing. I looked at myself, well, I have to win at least a national title before I turn professional. I've got to make sure that I've got a following so that, when I first start to fight, I'm going to be making a lot of money. I don't have to actually have a side job and stuff like that. And, three guys that I went to the National Golden Gloves with in 1987 when I was up West Golden Gloves champion from St. Paul. One of them I'd never sparred with. The other two I was sparring partners with. Those two won world championships as professionals. Mike Evgen, his nickname's the Rice Street Rocker from the Rice Street Gym. He uh, he was the International Boxing Organization (IBO) junior welterweight champion of the world back in 1992. He won it, and the thing is, that's considered kind of a minor title. It's not. It's an internationally recognized title. It's not one of the big. It's not one of the big four. The big four, and so I don't know how much you follow boxing, but the big four are starting with the oldest. I believe the oldest is the WBA, World Boxing Association, WBC, World Boxing Council, IBF, International Boxing Federation, then the WBO, World Boxing Organization, and the IBO is another one that sanctions world champion, and it's considered a step below those other four. One prestige that I have to say about him is it's the same belt that Manny Pacquiao won from
Mm.
Ricky Hatton back in, I think it was
Mm.
2012 or whatever, or
Danny.
2009. And,
Yeah.
you know who I'm talking about, Mac Pacquiao. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
he held the same belt that Manny Pacquiao eventually held. And then the other one
That's.
is Will Grigsby.
Mhm.
Right. And the other one is Will Grigsby. I sent you an article. I don't know if you got a chance to read it
Yeah.
in my bio. That was published in a publication called the St. Paul Almanac back in 2007, talking about his career. He became the IBF junior flyweight champion of the world in 1998. Lost it in 1999 to arguably the best, one of the best pound for pound fighters in the last 50 years, Ricardo Lopez.
Mhm.
And then he had some problems and went through some difficulties, and he actually had gotten in prison for a couple of years. And when he came out, he at age 35, he regained the title at age 35, and he lost it again. But he redeemed himself coming back like that. And the other guy's name, they called him Lightning Larry Lacassiere. He was welterweight. He fought he fought Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't know if you know who that is,
Yeah.
but he's
Oh,
one of
yeah.
the greatest. Yeah, one of the greatest welterweights of all time. He fought him on Showtime or HBO. He fought him on a pay-per-view fight. Towards the end of his career, it was a 10-round fight. Went the distance with him, fought really well, and between the three of them, they fought 11 world champions in their professional careers.
Wow.
And I look at that sometimes. I say to myself, man, I should have fought professional. I should have fought. Those guys went professional kind of right away, and
Yeah.
I held on for a long time. So I stopped boxing when I was 24,
Okay.
and then I just kind of I
Hey.
went off. I figured out I'm going to be a writer now. Well, I was 24. I was about to turn 25, so it was really 15 years I boxed. So okay, I'm going to be a writer now. I got to go on a Jack Kerouac adventure. So I went out to Seattle, and I walked boat to boat, and I got a job on a fishing boat that took me up to Southeast Alaska. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and then so
So,
that's how I kind of
yeah.
exited boxing. But then I came back into it.
Yeah. Well, and I love the story of, like, I feel like that's like a movie story of, like, you telling your dad, "Hey dad, I want to box," and then finding a gym, and then Luigi going, "Hey, meet my boys," and, "Hey, I'll see you Monday at 5," like that, and then the dream begins. It's kind of like, I actually have a 9.5-year-old boy and basically almost 10, and just that time
Yeah,
of life when you're like, "Wow, I want to do that." It seems like that was a moment for you where you were like, "Wow, I want to." I want to be like them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
now tell me too. So I grew up watching boxing with my dad. My dad is from Buffalo, New
Right.
York, old school East Coast Irish Catholic,
Oh,
Irish Italian. So he would always be like, "Bree, come down," you know, my brother and I. So I remember watching like George Foreman, obviously Mike Tyson. We played the Punch Out game and the Nintendo in the 80s. Like, and my
right.
husband and I, yeah, my husband and I just watched a documentary on Tyson Fury. Like, so boxing for
Oh,
me
yeah.
has always been this, it's such a, it's such an emotional, like amazing, tough, insane sport. I don't know how you did
I'm,
that.
yeah. It's the, well, I tell you what,
Like,
it's a rough business. It's a rough, it's a hard, it's just an accentuation of how hard the world really is. I think, and
mm,
it's a pretty raw life. But I love it, and I love it, but I also sometimes it just, I take a step back and think, wow, man, my life is, it's not that crazy, but there has been some violence in my life, you know, and but it's also something that, because I'm involved with that, with the art of boxing and the practice of boxing and the discipline of boxing,
yes,
it's another reason why there's a lot of violence that has not been in my life because of it. But
totally.
before we go on with that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you start talking about boxing, it's like putting a quarter in me, and I don't shut up.
Okay. That's why I'm having you on the
Speaking
podcast. I want to hear.
right, but speaking of Buffalo, so since you're from
Mm,
Buffalo, you must have some kind of appreciation of Reuben the Hurricane Carter.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
back
And a
back
great
in
movie
the
too.
early somewhere between 2001 2004. I think it was around 2001, maybe 2000 or 2001. He was in North Minneapolis. He was at a Cub Foods, uh, doing a kind of like a meet and greet, and
Yeah.
was it at the Cub Foods or was it somewhere else? I can't remember where else it was, but I went there as a reporter and was asking him questions and stuff. And I have this book. I got it signed, and he well that's it. There were two times he came through, and the first time he came through, he was I can't remember where he was, but there were just about five reporters around, and I kept asking more of the questions because I was really kind of the boxing guy and everything, and uh, and he signed. He and so then the second time I saw him, I came with the printed out article with his picture on it.
Mhm.
He signed it. He says to Mark, the newspaper man. So that was pretty cool. And I shook that guy's
The news
hand,
team.
and he's short, like he's like this tall, right? I shook his hand, and just the I'm just the how impressive a physical specimen or a physical uh, you know, the physical strength of a man who's a professional boxer at that level is. And he shook my hand, and I just could just feel the strength in it. He wasn't like
You
squeezing
could
my hand like
feel
it
it.
hurt or anything, but I just thought I could just tell like this guy, I mean, to get hit with that fist, that's going to be something.
Well,
And the thing is, he at the time that he was boxing, I think a lot of the guys in the top 10, and even though he never was the world champion, he could have beaten a lot of the guys that are in the top 10, in the early thousands, I think. Anyway, so there you
yeah.
go.
No, I mean, so I
Ruben
just,
Hurricane.
that's why when, no, and like when your publicist, when I was talking with your publicist, Rob, I was like, oh my gosh. My first thought was my dad is going to love this, honestly, because I just feel like the more you guys might have had a very similar upbringing, like, I don't know, just the old school, right? But
Yeah,
so
yeah.
tell me, now I want to hear the stuff that only a boxer would understand. Like, and then we're going to get to your book, because that is really what I want to talk a lot about too.
Okay.
But tell me about,
Right,
you're in
right.
the peak of your boxing career. Tell me how you would prepare for a fight, because I feel like boxing is a metaphor for life, right? You were saying that, right? Like, it's,
Yeah,
how would you
yeah.
prepare for a fight? Mentally, physically, emotionally? How do
So,
you get in that head?
so physically, the first thing I would do is I'd start denying myself a lot of things. You know, like I mean, I soda pop, right? And pop. I'd stop drinking carbonated beverages, right? I mean, I'd want at least 3 weeks before a fight. I wouldn't want to have carbonated beverages. So like there'd be long periods that I wouldn't drink carbonated beverages. I'd always have one right after a fight.
It's good.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I just at lunch, you know, no dessert. Put the brown bag lunch at work. Get rid of the potato chips. Get rid of
Yep.
don't bring a Twinkie or anything, right? So instead, a little bag of carrots and maybe some strawberries or something like that. An apple.
Just
Like
real
just
food.
very very simple lunch. Yeah, and then maybe I might have a piece of lunch meat with a piece of cheese on it and some lettuce and just stuff like that. But as far as the way the day would begin, I try to get to bed as there's sometimes you have obligations in life or things you're trying to do, so you're up a little bit later. But I try to be in bed at minimum before 10 o'clock and be up by 5 o'clock and stretch out and run and push up, sit ups and run. And it's running. The easy day is I'm going to run 3 miles. At the regular day, I'm going to go between 3 and 6, 3 and 6. Get up closer, I'd get to maybe 9 miles, and then working out. At the peak, working out, do my stretches and do a set of 100 push-ups nonstop, and then do hundreds of sit-ups, doing bicycle sit-ups. It was specifically, which are the ones that those are the Sugar Ray Robinson or Muhammad Ali. There are films of them doing those. That's probably the best. The bicycle motion I've read is again a Men's Health or Muscle Fitness
like
magazine. They say that's the bicycle motion is actually the best exercise for the abdominal muscles. And then so the running, and then the training in the gym. There'd be 3 hours a day working out, at least 5 days a week. The last trainer I worked with, Dennis Presley, when getting up to the before the Golden Gloves tournaments and stuff like that, we work out Monday through Saturday. Sometimes we're working out on Sunday. And the thing is, so that's how I would do it. So the way he trained Will Grigsby, the way he trained Will Grigsby, he'd have him as a guy going to fight a 12-round fight. He'd get him up to 10 miles in his running. And it's not necessarily 10 miles every day, but you're going to throw a 10-mile run in there. Yeah, 6-7 miles a day and stuff like that. And just really long workouts. To get ready for a four-round professional fight, this is how Dennis and I did it with the last guy that I was really active training as a professional, Raul Gracia. He says, okay, so get on the heavy bag and hit it for half an hour. When you're able to go on each apparatus, you can shadow box half an hour. Then you hit the heavy bag half an hour. Hit the two-ended, people call it double-ended bag, half an hour. Jump rope a half an hour. Trying to. So like with Will Grigsby, when he became world class, he was doing 1,000 push-ups a day, right? So it was just 10 sets of 100 basically, and and then a whole bunch of other kinds of things. You do a whole bunch of kind of things that are really heavy cardiovascular, kind of anaerobic cardiovascular kind of exercises. For boxing as an amateur, Dennis always said, don't do 3 rounds. Everyone normally do 3 rounds. You do 3 rounds shadow box, 3 rounds hit the heavy bag, 3 rounds hit the speed bag, or hit 3 rounds hit the 20 bag, 3 rounds spar, 3 rounds of hand pads, whatever. Some of those things you don't do. Out of all those different activities, 2 of them you might not do today. Then you do 2 you do those 2 in place of the other 2 the next day. You're not necessarily do all those every day, but Dennis always says, no, everything you do a minimum 4, So it's always between 4 and 6 rounds for what we were doing. And then whenever you're jumping rope, as you jump rope, you got the timers on for 3 minutes and it's a 1 minute rest. Well, when the 1 minute rest comes, you just keep going. So all the rounds you do, you just never take the rest. So that's the kind of training. As far as mental preparation, mental preparation before a fight. The thing is, a lot of guys, everyone's different. Some guys like to be in the locker room and have a whole bunch of guys around them and talking. Let's play the music really loud, stuff like that. I hated that. I wanted to go in a corner. I'd go in the corner, put my robe on, put the hood over me. I'd go in a corner and I'd always pray before a fight. I always prayed to protect the other boxer and protect me, but I'm here to win. And then I actually always admired, I saw, when I was a kid, I saw a 60 Minutes profile on Larry Holmes. So Larry Holmes is right there. He was heavyweight champion of the world after Muhammad Ali had retired. He ended up beating Ali when he came back, but he had I don't know, so close to like 20 title defenses. I mean, he was almost hit. He was one fight away from hitting Rocky Marciano's record of 49-0, and he lost to Michael Spinks. But that aside, he said, I always pray before the fight. I say, God, don't hurt him, don't hurt me. If he goes to sleep and doesn't wake up, better him than me. But I always liked that.
Yeah.
I always liked that because he's recognizing that we're both taking this risk and we can both get hurt. But yeah, I'd always say a prayer before the fight. But then I would want to, for a couple of hours before the fight, I want to just be. I don't want people to talk to me. I just want to sit and think about who I'm fighting and how I'm going to beat him and how I'm going to walk out of there with a victory. Now, no matter what, I don't care. And so when I go into the arena or auditorium or wherever the venue was, because sometimes they're really small VFWs and stuff like that, rec centers,
all
and
kinds
sometimes, yeah. And then it was like the Minneapolis Convention Center or the St. Paul Civic Center, or I've was in bigger places like that, or in Tennessee it was, where it was the University of Tennessee, their basketball arena, I think.
Okay.
But wherever it was, I wouldn't try. Some guys, you see guys, professionals coming in there, like, shaking hands, everyone, stuff like that. I didn't want to look at anyone. I just want to walk. Yeah, I didn't want to look at anyone. I just want to get in there and get in the ring. As soon as I got in the ring, my intention was to look across the ring at him, at the fighter, and try to make eye contact with him, and just look at him, just let him know this is going to happen. That's it. And that's the way I handled it. But other guys, the reason I handle it that way is because I really need a serious focus. I have to. Flash is a distraction. I don't like it, So,
yeah.
Yeah. So that was the way I always approached it. So some other people don't necessarily need that kind of concentration, but when I work corners for guys, I try to keep people away from them and just kind of keep them, keep them from being distracted and keep them, it's like, come on, mind on the fight. We got to go and do this,
So that's
otherwise you don't get it. Yeah.
No. So you've been on the perspective of as a boxer. Now you said when you work corners for guys, so when you're like that coach in the corner, right? Now, how does what they're going through mentally? So what kinds of things you're just trying to keep your boxer kind of locked in, right?
That's pretty much it. Yeah. My whole idea is, I want you to be relaxed, and I just want you to be focused on what you have to do, and just with your determination. Because what you want to do is you want to build this guy up and let him know, look, you're the better boxer. You're here to win. He's not, no matter what he thinks, he's coming in here thinking he's here for his victory. It's not going to happen for him tonight. And just get in his mind. Because if you can get yourself psychologically prepared for success, you're much more likely to accomplish it than if you allow for other possibilities in your mind. So.
Yeah. So now bring me to, and then we're going to keep jumping around. But so former boxer, now you're a boxing trainer. And tell me about how all of these experiences as a boxer and a boxing trainer now, and you've been a reporter, bring me to your book. Tell me about the title, tell me about where it comes from, and tell me how it relates to how did boxing get you here? And just tell me all about it, and we'll kind of dig into your book, which is right behind your shoulder.
Well, yeah, and yeah, it is right there. It's about time millions of copies sold for Dad. So the thing is, It's About Time was basically when my dad died on September 30th, 2019. So it was down in San Francisco. My parents were on this trip to San Francisco, and they're just going to come back and he'd had a heart attack 5 minutes from the airport, and he was on life support for 10 days. And as I watched him die, and I prayed over him with my mom and everything, I'm just looking at him thinking, he's never seen me publish a book. He's never seen me accomplish. He hasn't seen me get married, have children, and he hasn't seen me really make something of my life like I imagine myself making something out of it. And really guilty about that. And I said to myself also, there's enough of my life I procrastinated, and one of the things is writing and actually having some of these works actually presented to the public. So I'm going to do it right now. And actually, if it's okay with you, I could actually read.
I would love. I actually
so
was going to ask you. Yes, please.
well, so this portion of it is the end of chapter 3. I mean, what I just told you actually. I came up with the title of this. This is how it opens. I came up with the title of this book on September 30, 2019, the day my father died. Dad had been on life support since September 20, when he had a heart attack in a rental car in a Costco parking lot in San Francisco, California, 5 minutes from the airport, to which he and Mom were about to drive to catch a plane home. I was supposed to pick them up at the Twin Cities International Airport. Mom had called me just after 3 p.m. as I bought a sandwich at the Jimmy John's on Grand Avenue in St. Paul. Mom and Dad had been sitting in that rental car, discussing their great 4-day vacation, staying at the Marines Memorial Club in San Francisco. They were talking about how much they loved each other, how much they loved their 2 sons and their daughter-in-law, Kelly, my brother David's wife, and their 2 grandchildren, Liam, 15, and Caroline, 13. They were talking about how lucky they were and how great a marriage they had had for over 51 years, and how they couldn't wait to get back to home to the blessings of their family, friends, and life. Dad began pulling out of the parking spot and was struck with a heart attack, slumping over the wheel. Mom put the car in park and jumped out yelling for help. Their guardian angels were watching over them. Now, you have to buy the book to see how the guardian angels are watching over them, because we're skipping ahead to the end. That's chapter 1. We're skipping ahead to the end of chapter 3. Okay, so there's a poem I wrote. So you have to buy the book also to
Yep, we're going to buy it.
To know what led up to this poem, right? Because that's what the story is. It's a saga wrapped around a package of poems guarded by angels. So basically, it is autobiography that reads like a novel. And so the deal is that you've got this narration, you've got all this prose, and it's a story I'm telling that weaves through these poems, or the poems can weave through it. So you're going to have to buy the book to understand exactly why I wrote this particular poem. But so I write this poem. Okay, on Sunday, March 31, waking up on my couch, I wrote the next poem, Life So Simple.
Okay.
As if to pray, you start today in meditation on your bicycle wheel, the separate spokes united in the center. You want me to be blunt, you say. I want to be direct, but fear I'll frighten you away. The final action is the original intention. This statement is authentically true, not just my invention. My responsibility is to you, a comfort for my rest, a respect in my behavior, helping you to be your best. You can push me away, invite me to stay, or walk with me today, but we met for a reason, to teach each other and learn. Such a fact comes not from acts, but is a grace we did not earn. Demons distract, demons lie, and demons discourage us from our destiny till we die. Friends encourage, friends assist, and friends persist with love on which we rely. Your guardian angel already talked to mine. Together they have watched us share laughter and argue to the point of crying. You know they're sent by God, who really does exist, and is not a tyrant or a terrorist. Rather, he is love, family, life, held in common at the core. You and I, specific spokes, united in the center, spinning round from place to place, and nothing more. Okay, There were some other poems I put together qualifying for appropriate inclusion in this book. I've always held myself, of course, to the highest of standards, never believing any of these poems ready for an attempt at publication, so I never tried, which is why I so embarrassingly titled the story, It's About Time. Dad challenged me once, as far back, I believe, as 2012, asking me why, by the age of 40, I hadn't published at least one book. If I really was a writer, as I asserted myself to be, I should have been able to publish at least 5 novels or other books by then. I told him to lay off, that there were legitimate reasons for current incompletion, and that literary success was on its way, but that was all an excuse. The real reason is a lie in my heart that my work is going to be great. I just needed time to concentrate, which is always delayed right now for the job, or the friend in trouble, or another excuse, which justified not trying. The truth is, I was scared, so I never dared. If this book, which can fall flat on its face, is never presented to the public, I'll never know if you, the reader, recognize my talent. If it does, in fact, fall flat in its face, at least metaphorically, I fall flat on mine. However, so what? It's about time. Yeah. So that's so that's the thing, man. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, the thing is, that's the point. I mean, ultimately, this book is about hope, and it was just so frustrated that my dad died, and that was September 30th of 2019. I mean, you know, honestly, I was watching what was happening in the world at the time. I thought I honestly I couldn't understand. I was thinking I was thinking, what, they're going to actually impeach this president? This is such a. And then I just thought everything was going crazy. And then that happened. And then we have this crazy virus and everything shuts down. And then the riots happen. And my dad grew up 5 blocks from where the fires were in St. Paul. And my mom grew up 5 blocks, or five or roughly 5 blocks, or maybe a little more than that, from where the fires were burning in Minneapolis. And then one of the elders from the American Indian community asked me to go join up with what was called AIM Patrol, the American Indian Movement, AIM Patrol, that was protecting American Indian, the Native American buildings, because there was a Native American Indian community center, McGeezy Communications. I think it was right next to the post office, across the street from the 3rd Precinct building that got burnt down. And I think what they did is they lit the post office on fire, but that thing got burnt down too. So I was out with these guys. We were all armed, just protecting buildings, and nothing really happened after that. We really was like, after that night, I didn't have any violent encounters or anything like that, and everything was cool, and people were kind of coming together. But all that stuff happened right after Dad died, and I was mourning that whole year, just trying to figure stuff out. Couldn't go to the gym and train people because everything was shut down. The churches were shut down. Everything was shut down. And I could get a couple of guys to go to the park with me, and when the weather was nice out, and I trained them that way and stuff. But there was not much work going on. Plus, my mother there's a story in here about my mother when her heart disease was discovered. It's a St. Jude story. It's a really it's a really a miraculous kind of story how just by chance, when my parents were on a pilgrimage to, well, it was a personal pilgrimage from Turkey to Greece, following the footsteps of St. Paul, that she had this basically a near-death experience, and they found her heart disease, and she at that time she started having worse problems, and respiratorily speaking, as we came into 2020, and she ended up getting diagnosed with arterial pulmonary hypertension. And so I believe I did mention this in my bio to you. I took care of her. So when I was trying to get this book published, and things had fallen through, and then she was even nagging me, "You got to get that thing published." But she never got to see it. She read it, but she never got to see it in print either. Because she was in the hospital last year from 27th of March till the 2nd of June. And then my brother and I were taking care of her, but my brother's a public defender for Ramsey County in St. Paul, so he really couldn't take off work, and I was there most of the time. And she actually, just before midnight, collapsed into my arms, right by her bed, on Saturday, the 21st of November, and so when she was pronounced dead, just before 10 after midnight by the paramedics, on the 22nd of not November, of October last year. And so all this kind of stuff, when I write this story, all this kind of crazy stuff is happening, and the riots are happening, and everything. And so I talk a little bit about that in the book too. Towards the end, most of the book isn't about that though. Most of the book is more about my life, about my father's influence on me. There are a couple other parts I could share with you, but I mean, you probably want to say something after I've been talking a bit here. I don't know if. Okay. Well, so this is also somewhat, well, I guess I'll do this one, then I'll get to this next one. So here are a couple of poems I wrote while helping another departed friend, an eccentric old multimillionaire, a personal training client who died at 80 in Reno, Nevada. First, 10 years ago by Buddy Guy, which I wrote in 2016 in rural Nevada, where, carrying my gun, I'd driven him with hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gold he wanted to secure in a safety deposit box down there. Then doing it badly, which I wrote in 2018 in Reno, Nevada, when I was helping him through some major health issues. I wanted to develop fighters while training clientele willing to pay well, but since there was no money coming in from professional boxers at the time, a rare treasure with precarious preservable value, I occasionally worked quasi-security detail, amounting to a combination of concierge service and genuine friendship that took long periods away from home. There were always suggestions of buying a gym I could run and managing professional fighters I could train, but between balancing a personal portfolio of multiple millions, lusting for women legally available in ways legally forbidden outside of Nevada, drinking way too much, and on rare occasions, repentantly joining me for Mass as if he were turning over a brand new leaf, my desolate friend was fighting demons of distraction, deception, and discouragement, forcing me to work his corner, and I, distracted from my own dreams, desperately telling him the strategies for spiritual survival, knowing I could only counsel from the corner, never able to enter the ring on his behalf, praying the angels could hold his fist up in front of his shoulders, protecting his chin from the fatal blows designed to destroy his soul. I tried to develop quality writing projects in my spare time, and these two poems will most likely become parts of much larger works. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy, November 2016. This song is haunting me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. This song is haunting me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. Potentials from the past make me stop and wonder why. This blues song haunts me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. This blues song haunts me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. I could have gone this way and really went that, but right now is where it's at. This song is haunting me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. This song is haunting me. 10 years ago by Buddy Guy. Older men say I'm lucky, but I've made bad choices, I won't lie. All I can do is keep on living, make the best of here and now. All I can do is keep on living, make the best of here and now. I thank God I finally know this, but buddy, can you show me how? Doing it badly. Saturday, April 21, 2018. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly, G.K. Chesterton would say. His most redeeming quality as an Englishman was his support for Irish freedom. His second most redeeming quality was his wisdom. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. So it was with you, even though what I decided to do drove you away. I have seemed a beast with a horn, just a losing warrior all battle-torn, stumbling clumsily through emotional folly, not willing to admit the moment had passed and it was time to go home. You were another purpose for me, a budding young lady of beauty and need, rejecting my heart and the love I did bleed, clutching your pain as if it were greed, me standing still, alone. Maybe I was supposed to just walk away, get to bed early, greet the new day, but something in your touch, something in your sigh, something in your smile, behind your dark eyes, said you were worth it. Yes, it is true, for me and for you. Anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Doing it badly is a great conception from G.K. Chesterton. It is so true. Anything worth doing is definitely worth doing badly. Think of how much God loves you. Okay, I understand we think so little of ourselves sometimes that we can't imagine people really loving us to the point of giving us everything, especially those whose relationships with their parents are really fractured. My heart grieves for those who don't have loving, sacrificing parents like I do. I understand then if you struggle believing the creator of the universe loves you with that sacrificial love. He does, though, which is why it's so worthwhile loving him. God gave you, the individual that you are, the sun you see in the morning and the moon at night. Whatever your troubles, be they a yearning for alcohol, a sexual selfishness, or anger and frustration, it's worthwhile to engage that battle for the love of God. You are so imperfect, like everyone else, that you will inevitably fail at loving God. But a perfect father accepts a child's love at the child's capacity, not his own. So go ahead, love God badly. It's the only way you can. Yeah. Oh man.